everybody. Welcome to this month's edition of North Central Outdoors. I'm your host, Nathan Karch. Today I want to possibly answer some questions that I commonly get out in the field, or maybe when I approach you in a deer stand or something like that. They're all related to deer hunting, which is coming up very, very soon. As you well know, it's probably the most popular outdoor recreational opportunity that most of the Tennesseans take place in, or participate in. So my first question that I get constantly, and hopefully I can answer this for everybody, is baiting legal? It depends, okay? That's kind of an open-ended question, but baiting for the purpose of drawing in an animal to hunt it is totally illegal. You cannot do that at all. If you want to bait it with minerals or a salt block, that is perfectly legal. You can do that all day. But if it has grains in it, any type of grains, wheat, corn, soybeans, you cannot bait with that. You cannot hunt over it. If you want to supplemental feed your deer, if you got a big farm or something like that, and it's during hunting season and you still plan to hunt it, as long as your farm's big enough to do that and you kind of stay out of that area, that's fine. What I mean by kind of stay out of that area is you have to be 250 yards away or not in direct line of sight of that bait. Now, if the leaves have fallen off the trees and it is rifle season, you may still be able to kind of see that bait, or those deer may be able to still be influenced by that bait. You could be 500 yards away, but with modern, rifles, you can shoot pretty far. So, we'll use that in our discretion if we, come in contact with that. But be on the safer side, just don't bait. A lot of people, ask if baiting with fruit and apples and stuff like that is legal. It is not. You can't just pile up fruits and stuff like that. That's totally illegal. Basically, if you're wanting to do corn or soybeans, if you got a big corn or soybean field or food plot or something like that, that's fine. But as long as it has been done with normal agricultural purposes and practices, you cannot alter that in any way. So basically, you can have a standing corn plot and you can go in there and you can bush hog it, and that will disperse all the corn kernels and everything like that. That's perfectly fine. You can do that. But if you go in there and you take a bunch of ears of corn and you place them in one specific location, that's altering it, and that is considered baiting. So I know there's a gray area in there, but if you're concerned about it, just err on the safe side and just don't do it. Now, if you want to bait during hunting season for the purpose of just viewing wildlife and maybe taking pictures, that is perfectly fine. You can do that, but just don't hunt over it with a weapon. Okay, is spotlighting legal? No, it is not. If you have the intent of locating wildlife after hours and casting a ray of light, that is totally illegal. You cannot do that from a motorized vehicle, from a public road, or anything like that. Hunting season ends basically after sunset each day during deer season. So after hours, that's totally illegal anyways if you were to take a deer. Now, if you own a farm and maybe say you've got a calf loose or something like that and you're trying to locate it, what you do on your property, that's fine, but still be mindful that you have to abide by Tennessee's state regulations in regards to hunting and stuff like that. So if you're the property owner, you can spotlight, but you cannot hunt an animal or shoot an animal. You can locate whatever you want. And also, if you give permission, written permission to other people on private property, they have to be on that private property. They can spotlight as well, but not with the intent of hunting an animal. Okay. Another question: can I hunt private property if it is not posted? Absolutely not. You can't. It's private property for a reason. Someone owns that. It's not public land. We have all kinds of wildlife management areas which are public. If you have the proper permits and licensing, you're able to hunt those in the state of Tennessee. There's tons of hunting land that is available for the public. So if you're concerned about having a spot to hunt, look up on our website, tnwildlife.org, and it will show you all kinds of our wildlife management areas. And you can also download the ArcGIS app on your smartphone, and just go into that and search TWRA huntable lands, and it will basically show you every huntable land and public land in the state of Tennessee, the safety zones and the good zones that you can hunt. So it's very good information if you're interested in that. If you have trespassing issues, call us. Purple paint has now passed as kind of the general and well-known posted signs, no trespassing signs. So you can paint a purple ring around your trees, and that's kind of understood as no trespassing. You can still go with the no trespassing signs. Basically, those signs give us permission to prosecute if we see someone hunting on your land and they don't have written permission. We can take it into our hands. That being said, if you hunt private property, you need to get written permission. A lot of people, just go on the verbal permission, like, yeah, so and so lets me hunt his land. It's perfectly fine. No, you actually need written permission, so you need to keep that in your wallet at all times, as well as your license. Can I hunt coyotes, bobcats, predators while hunting deer? Yes, you can. But during archery and muzzleloading season, you have to be carrying a rimfire rifle. Centerfire has not opened yet. Once the big gun or rifle season opens for deer, all is fair game. You can use centerfire rifle, but if you're in archery, carry a bow for deer. You can carry a rimfire 22 long rifle or a 17 HMR in the deer stand with you, and you can hunt coyotes that way. If you're wanting to hunt the coyotes or bobcats, be mindful of the electronic calls. I know electronic calls is very popular with predator hunting. You can't use electronic calls for deer hunting. So if you're coyote hunting, make sure that you're using just specifically coyote calls. You can't use grunt calls or bleats or anything like that for deer. So just make sure you're doing it the right way there. Can I hunt from my vehicle or boat? Yes, you can in certain situations. If you have private property and you want to hunt from that mobile ground line, as I like to call it, that's perfectly fine. But it has to be stationary. It has to be parked. It can't be moving around. You can't be chasing the wildlife, going after it. You basically got to use that just as a ground blind. So you can do that. Boats, if you're wanting to access private property or WMA, I know a lot of WMAs you have to access by boat. It's perfectly fine to shoot a deer off a boat, but just be mindful what your backstop is and what's around you. Make sure it's in a safe manner. And that being said, it has to be stationary as well. It cannot be underway by any mechanical means or sail. So you got to have your motor off. If you got a strong current that day, that's perfectly fine. That's Mother Nature playing in there. So you can't help that. That's fine. But no mechanical means. I know a lot of people have been experiencing just seeing a lot of deer dead, a lot by water, and they don't really have an explanation for it. I know East Tennessee was really hit hard this year, and it really happens every single year. A lot of people don't know about it, but it's become more well known with social media and things like that than just traveling by word of mouth. But what we're seeing here is not chronic wasting disease, which hopefully we never see that here. But what it is it's actually EHD, and that stands for epizootic hemorrhagic disease. And it's basically transferred by a biting midge in deer. And that deer becomes very weak. They kind of lose their fear of people. They have an increased salivation rate. Their heart rate increases, rapid respiration rate. They have a high fever. I don't know if I mentioned, they lose their appetite, and they become very lethargic. and they may spike within 8 to 36 hours, depending on the severity of the case. They may die. It is sometimes fatal, although some deer do get over it. But they're often found by water, and most of the reports that we get is deer found in the water or by the water, and they're just dead. Well, they have such a high fever that they're trying to get it down, and they go into the water, and a lot of times they become unconscious. It just spikes right then and there, and they end up dying, or they drown, or they starve to death. They're just they're completely out of it. So that's what you're seeing. There's really not a cure as far as our wild populations. If you've got a captive population of cervids, you can't have white-tailed deer here in Tennessee, but fallow deer, black-tailed deer, even elk, they can get it, and you just have to avoid stagnant water, just places where water may be standing. If you have a farm and you got ponds or water troughs and stuff like that, just kind of avoid those areas if you're concerned about it. And also if you're concerned about your certain population in your area being hit very hard, maybe kind of rethink taking so many does this year. I know the doe harvest is very liberal in some areas. West of the Cumberland Plateau, you can take 3 does a day during hunting season. So maybe cut back on that if you're worried. And the statewide limit for bucks is 2. Maybe cut back a buck, if you're really worried about that, and hopefully next year you'll see that population regenerate and be back to normal. But that is a concern this year. Not so much for this Middle Tennessee area. I myself have only heard of a handful of cases, but I know Anderson County, Knox County, and East Tennessee has been hit pretty hard this year. Also, what licenses do I need to hunt? That's kind of specific to where you're wanting to hunt. If you want to hunt wildlife management areas, public land, or if you're hunting private property. You can go the route, if you don't hunt every season, you can kind of go the cheaper route, buy your base license, which is your fishing small game combo. It's your type 001. It's $34. You can pick that up at Walmart. And then you can kind of build on that depending on what seasons you might want to hunt. If you only hunt archery during the entire season, that doesn't mean you have to purchase a rifle and muzzleloading permit. Just hunt archery. You can actually just buy that archery permit and hunt season wide. So it just kind of depends. Now, if you hunt every season, you might want to go with the more all-inclusive package, which is our sportsman's package. That's a type 004. It's $166, but it literally covers every state license and all the supplemental license. And if you like to waterfowl hunt or trap or go to WMAs, participate in the quota hunts, that will cover everything. So that's what I kind of recommend, and that seems to be our most popular license. Also, what are some of the license exemptions? If you are a farmer or landowner, you don't have to have a license to hunt your own property. I get asked that all the time. The wife and the dependent children do not have to have a license as well to hunt on your land. Now, when it becomes, you get into these big farms and stuff like that, and they manage that property, they don't have to have a license if they live there. If they live off the property and manage it, you have to still buy a license. But the tenants that actually live on the property and manage the property, and their wives, and their dependent children as well, they're exempt from that. So that's basically all I have today. Oh, one more thing. Let me touch on handgun carry permits, because that's a very, very popular question that I get constantly. Your handgun carry permits. You can carry a pistol or whatever you decide if you have a permit with you. Whenever it's archery season, muzzleloader, it doesn't matter. You're more than welcome to carry that, and it's often encouraged, sometimes on the wildlife management areas. But public land, private land, archery season, muzzleloader season, doesn't matter. If you have the proper handgun carry permit, you're more than welcome to carry that. Okay, so that actually wraps it up this time. I'm sorry to keep you, but I hope that kind of clarifies a lot of questions. And again, if you have any questions that I didn't address this time, just feel free to email me at nathan.karch@tn.gov, and I'll be happy to get back at you on that and hopefully provide you with the right answer. Again, thank you for your time, and I hope this was beneficial, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.